On April 19th, Guerrilla released an expansion for Horizon Forbidden West called Burning Shores. When this was originally announced, I was excited, since I like both games and the Frozen Wilds expansion for Horizon Zero Dawn. I've given 100% at all 3 of those. As we got within a couple of weeks of release, I started to see more promotional material and started getting a little concerned about where the story was going. They introduced this character called Seyka. She was a part of the Quen expedition that got lost and Aloy ran into in Forbidden West. The expedition got split up and half of them made their way to LA. In the promotional video I first saw her in, she and Aloy seemed like they were having a gay old time together. So after seeing all that, I was a bit worried that they were going to make them have an intimate relationship just for the sake of doing it. Since the quote entertainment industry seems to love to do that recently. Then later on, I saw a video they released called Meet Seyka. And the first thing the actress, Kylie Liya Page, said was,
"Another strong, badass woman warrior."
If you've played the games, you might realize that they are very intersectional. And what I mean by that is that the roles you'd expect for both genders to be in are often reversed. And it's very girl powery. But not in your face mostly, but you do notice it a lot. I do recognize that it's definitely in the series. It hadn't bothered me much up to this point. They even describe Seyka as Aloy's match.
Aloy may have met her match a little bit. Somebody that matches her level, I don't think she's ever seen that before.
When I heard that, I thought the intersectional feminism might start to be more in your face. And I was concerned. I wasn't sure if I wanted to pre-order it or not after seeing and hearing these things, but ultimately decided to do it. After 100%ing the expansion, I'm glad I decided to play it. The story was solid, the main characters were intriguing, the world was beautiful, and it left me excited for more. I was wrong about the intersectionality being more in your face, although it is there, but I was right about the relationship. Midway through Burning Shores, I found out they made Aloy gay. I didn't look at spoilers for how it happened because I wanted to judge it for myself. I don't want to go in there wanting to hate it, just wanted to see how they did it. In the latter half of the story, Aloy and Seyka start getting a little awkward around each other, and it's obvious that they're both into each other. At the end of Burning Shores, Aloy and Seyka talk, and Seyka asks Aloy if she was interested in her. To my surprise, they gave us the option to accept or decline. I was expecting to have no choice, but we did. Although, the way they wrote the dialogue, it is canon that Aloy is interested in girls. Regardless of which option you pick, Aloy and Seyka end up parting ways, as Seyka is going to leave with the Quen once they connect with the other half of the expedition. I found this to be an odd decision because of how skilled Seyka is. I would have tried my hardest to recruit her to try to defeat Nemesis, but I do assume she'll make a return in the next game. Overall, I didn't have much of a problem with this since it was done well, but others did. There are a lot of people who mostly haven't played the expansion, some haven't even played Forbidden West or Zero Dawn, who are chalking this up to another woke, agenda-driven decision to make the main female character a lesbian. While I do think the way they did it was a big virtue signal, it really isn't a big deal. There is one video that I want to go over that is a good example of what I'm talking about. That video is from Melonie Mac, and it's called Horizon's Aloy Goes Woke Again. I've covered her on this channel before, when I made my first video on the Tomb Raider leaks. And I want to be clear, I'm a fan of Melonie and usually agree with her on stuff like this when it comes to entertainment. This time, it's different. So I'm going to go through some of the points she made in her video, and I'll tell you why I respectfully disagree. This video also triggered a response from the Seyka actress Kylie Liya Page, so we'll go over that as well. Spoiler, she overreacted too. And I have nothing against the actress or Melonie, obviously, don't harass them or anything. This is just some criticism I have, and I wanted to share. I just want to clear the air about this controversy. But without further ado, let's play the first clip.
In the original, Horizon Zero Dawn, there was, a male kind of flirtation thing going on there with a dude. Now, it didn't full-fledged turn into anything, but there was something, at least from his side. The way, now I'll admit, when I played it, the way I took it was she kind of friend-zoned him a little bit, but I don't know, I felt a little, flirtatious tension between the characters, at least.
This is true. In fact, There are multiple characters that either flirt with her and sometimes she reciprocates, they hit on her or even ask her out.
Well, that's a story, all right, but it takes a while to tell. Maybe another time over a drink or three? It's obvious that you don't belong in this backwater. I mean, you're smart. You're obviously capable, and, well, I mean, look at you.
What are you talking about?
You know what? You know what? When we met, I thought I was a big shot talking to a pretty girl hidden away in the middle of nowhere. Now I see that I was just lucky to get a minute of your time. Try not to forget about me while you're out there changing the world.
I'll always have a minute for you. Maybe even two.
Two? Huh. Well, she likes me.
I think you're a blessing from All Mother. No matter what Resh says.
Thank you, Teb. But I have to go now.
I know you do. And my thoughts go with you.
I could use someone like you at my side.
There's two characters I think she could be talking about here, either Teb or Avad. Teb obviously has a crush on Aloy, but nothing comes of it. And Avad, who I think may be the one she's talking about, actually asks her to be with him.
I could use someone like you at my side.
But Aloy refuses by saying,
Thank you for the offer, but I don't think either you or I are ready for that. At least, not yet. I've got a long way to go before I find what I'm looking for, and it's gonna take me far from Meridian.
She reiterates this notion that she isn't ready in Forbidden West as well, but I can't find the clip. I'm positive it exists and I'm not crazy. You'll just have to take my word for it on this one. But nonetheless, she says it in the clip I just played. There's even some flirting in Forbidden West as well. So unless they just ignore all that, I believe this shows that Aloy is also attracted to guys as well, and is indeed bi. Typically, I don't think you'd be flirting with someone you have no attraction to.
Now, one thing is, I actually was a huge fan of Horizon Zero Dawn. It was one of my favorite games ever. I freaking loved it. And I haven't even played Forbidden West yet.
This is what I meant when I said there's a lot of people criticizing this who haven't even played the expansion or Forbidden West. And in some cases, but not this one, Zero Dawn. If you played it, you know that Elizabeth Sobek is gay and had a relationship with one of the bad guys, Tilda. We know Aloy is a clone of Elizabeth Sobek, so it would make sense that Aloy is gay as a result. It just comes down to if you believe that being gay is a choice or not. I didn't even think about this originally, but I was watching the Critical Drinkers Open Bar stream on Thursday when he read a super chat bringing up this controversy, and he made that point.
Mr. Nobody says, don't know if you played the Horizon games. Yes, I've reviewed one of them. But according to the latest DLC, Aloy's gay, by the way.
Yeah.
That actually is fine because it makes sense in universe, because the woman that she's cloned from, Elizabeth Sobek, is also revealed to be gay in the second game. So I guess if she's an exact duplicate of her, she would probably be gay too. I guess that's like genetic or something, so makes sense, I guess.
Drinker wondering if being gay is a choice. He's like,
well, I mean, like, you know, is it physical? Like, so if you clone someone, would that make them gay as well, or is it like something that happens at stages in your life or something? I don't know, but I'm assuming it's genetic. So, like, yeah, it should be in the clone as well, I guess.
It's certainly up for debate whether that makes sense or not, but it makes sense that the writers would do this. And this probably means that Beta is gay too, by the way. You can certainly criticize that aspect of it, and I do. I didn't like that they made Elizabeth gay, especially since, to my memory, there's nothing in Zero Dawn that even hints at that. It just seemed like she was a loner, like Aloy. Maybe I missed, or I'm forgetting something, but I don't think there was anything. It just seemed like they wanted to make her gay. Not to mention, it became part of the plot after Tilda saved Aloy, and I wasn't a fan of the stuff with Tilda after that point. So from that standpoint, I do have the issue with this decision in general. But like I said, I thought they did it well with Aloy and Seyka, so I'm ultimately okay with it for that reason and others.
And I haven't even played Forbidden West yet. Now, the reason why is because I was severely disappointed in a lot of what they've done with Aloy's character. This is long before they even did this. But it just seemed like they gave Aloy that hero complex. This is something they keep doing with female leads. I loved Horizon Zero Dawn, but I mean, one of the big reasons why I loved it so much is you had like this cool, strong, beautiful female lead character there, and y'all know I love games with a good female lead that does it right. And I feel like Horizon Zero Dawn for the most part did that, but then once the Horizon Forbidden West trailers started dropping and stuff, I noticed they were giving her a hero complex to where it was like, oh, she wants to be like a savior of the world, essentially. She wants to be a hero. And I don't like it when they do that, especially with female characters, because it's not something that is natural for women in the same way that it is that it can be for men. You know, it's a masculine thing to help, to like save people, dude, like to be a hero. That's a masculine thing. So for a female lead character, I mean, there are certain situations where it's like, okay, you know, she's strong, she's capable, and she's going to do what's right for this situation. I get that. But for just wanting to be a hero for the sake of being a hero, that's not a feminine quality. It's not a feminine trait. And it just comes off as weird to me. When you have a character who has some sort of, okay, they're doing this because there's some sort of motivation behind it that, you know, maybe this specific situation is the right thing to do, or maybe, you know, doing it because, okay, she's specifically involved in this because of her family, her tribe, this, that, or the other, whatever it is. But whenever it's just like, I want to be a hero, I found my purpose, and that's to be a hero, that's boring to me. You know, even for a lot of dude characters, it's nice to see some sort of motivation beyond that. So that's one reason why I didn't. But anyway.
While I don't disagree that it's normally a male thing to have a hero complex, girls are also allowed to have it. I understand that it's portrayed more naturally in media in the recent years, but with this, it makes perfect sense. At first, Aloy is just trying to figure out who her mother is and where she came from. Then, it spirals into running into a bigger threat in Hades and trying to stop it, ultimately doing so, thus becoming a hero and developing a hero's complex, then having to stop Hephaestus and now having to stop Nemesis. With all that considered, I think she's earned it. Another criticism I do have that kind of relates to this is that Aloy was very monotone throughout Horizon Forbidden West, without much range, whereas in Zero Dawn, she had a wider range of emotions. I think that does have to do with her hero complex and her being tired. Also, it was probably to differentiate Aloy and Beta. Also, the people around her try to quell her hero complex and try to get her to let others help and not keep flying solo. Overall, I don't have much of an issue with her having a hero complex. I think it works in the story and it's not something they just crowbarred in.
However, since both the playing of the Burning Shores DLC and the acceptance of Seyka's feelings are both optional, though it should be noted that Seyka is Aloy's first possible love interest throughout the entire series, the moment ultimately ends with the two parting ways and agreeing to keep each other in their hearts.
This clip isn't here to refute anything she said, it's just so I can fit in another point I want to make. Like I said, it is optional to accept or not, and as a result, I think this is meant to set up romance options for the next game. Like I've pointed out, there's been many characters that have flirted with her, she's flirted with, and one even asked her to be with him. And in that particular instance, there was no option, she just declined. This time, they do give us an option. I just don't see a reason for giving us an option if they're not setting romance options up. So I think this makes it less of a big deal. They did make it canon with the dialogue that she's into girls, but if this is setting up romance options, it's just like in Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Valhalla. In those games, you can romance both genders. Nobody was complaining about that. I don't think they actually made it canon that they like the same gender as well, but it doesn't make much of a difference if it's not brought up over and over again.
This is just stupid to me. I wouldn't even have liked it if they gave her a male love interest in these things too, because it's just like, it depends on the character, and there's certain stories that they're built around, you know, having the love interest there, and that can be great. But when it comes to Tomb Raider, for example, I don't want to see a love interest. That is about Lara Croft doing her adventuring and all that kind of stuff. And with Horizon, I kind of feel a similar kind of way, to where it's like, I like the focus to be on adventure, okay, in this kind of story.
I actually agree with this. I don't think she needs a love interest. I think her being single and focusing on the mission at hand works much better. There's no need to add love interest. That's why, while I think this is setting up romance options, I don't like that idea. That's also a different discussion. But if I'm right, then it doesn't really matter if she's gay or not.
And especially given that this is a DLC thing, this just feels rushed. This just feels like pandering, and it just doesn't feel authentic, organic, anything like that. Especially, you know, they had to do this in a DLC, you know, because they don't want their game banned in different regions, so on and so forth.
Well, I do agree the way they did it was a big virtue signal, especially doing it in an expansion, not a DLC. Those are different. Although I sometimes trip up on that. But you haven't played it, so I don't know how you can say it's rushed. They really made it work in the story and developed their relationship well. I was surprised they took the time they did to make it feel more organic, although I still think it was a virtue signal. I do think they may have done it in an expansion because they didn't want the main game to get banned in other countries. I don't know if the Elizabeth and Tilda stuff would have done it or not, though, already.
But like I said, it's the continual cycle. First, let's look at this picture here. First, they take a beautiful character and then they make her uglier. This has been a constant pattern with existing female characters in video games, okay? We've seen the same with Lara Croft. Take a beautiful character and make her uglier. The thing that I find confusing with Horizon taking this path is that Aloy, you know, because the excuse with Lara Croft is always, well, we want her to look normal. We don't want her to look like a caricature, blah, blah, blah. Well, Aloy looked pretty for like a real person. Like, she didn't look like an over-the-top idealization of a woman. She looked like a regular woman. She even had like little flaws, like her teeth, her bottom teeth were a little crooked. I remember seeing that when I first played Horizon Zero Dawn, and I was like, oh, that's neat. You know, it gave her a little personality, right? They do little things to make her seem more human, but she still was beautiful. And here they've taken her and how this makes sense, just make it make sense to me, right? Okay, so they've made her face fatter while simultaneously making her body skinnier. I don't get it. So when you look at Horizon Zero Dawn, and one of the things I loved about Horizon Zero Dawn was that Aloy had abs, right? She had chiseled abs, and I would want to wear the outfits where you could see those abs. It was like goals. It was like, okay, I want abs like that. I need to hit the gym, so on and so forth. Like, that's how I felt when I played Horizon Zero Dawn. Well, now in Forbidden West, they took away her abs. They nerfed her abs. It's just, this is what she's working with now, which isn't ugly. But I mean, come on, why would you do that? Why would you take her abs away? But what makes no sense to me is, how do you make her body skinnier and make her face fatter? It doesn't make it make sense. Make her body skinnier and her face fatter. I don't know why. But yeah, that's just kind of the thing that they're doing with this thing. And the one reason why I feel like they do this is because they're scared. They're terrified of the male gaze, as they say. And so they don't want to make their female characters attractive because they're scared to death a guy will find her attractive.
I agree with this too. The entertainment industry loves to do this to female characters. They're terrified of the male gaze, not to mention the feminists who will throw a fit if they don't. I made a video criticizing them for this before the game came out. I think in the cinematic trailers and promos they released, her face looks fatter than it actually is in the game. So I don't think those comparisons she showed are entirely fair. But regardless, they did do this, and it is one of my biggest criticisms. And I think this, the Elizabeth Sobek and Tilda stuff, and the intersectionality are much more egregious than making Aloy a lesbian. But it's so annoying, And frankly, it's demeaning and sexist towards women to tone down their looks, because you think women have to look less attractive. Women also like looking at attractive women. It's just that vocal minority of woke feminists that complain, so you're only satisfying them by doing this. They typically don't do this to male characters either. It's a huge double standard. They complain about women's unrealistic beauty standards in the media, but when it comes to men, they do the same thing they complain about men doing and objectify the hell out of them. It's just because these women are jealous of attractive women and want to bring them down. They want to feel validated. As far as the abs go, I think they had to do that, so her face wouldn't look out of place. It would have looked really weird with those abs. It still doesn't make much sense that she would have a chubby face, since she's always been fit. She's always active, there's no reason for that change, unless it's intentional to make her look worse, or it's a reaction to the environment she's in, which doesn't seem to be the issue.
I mean, how many lesbians are playing Horizon Forbidden West or any video games at all for that matter? When you really factor in the demographics, they're such a small demographic, right? So so this definitely isn't for the lesbians. It's got, I don't know, they want the woke points. It's agenda driven, all that kind of stuff. But when you factor in, okay, they're going to have a lesbian story here, initially, I mean, that's kind of a male fantasy to see girls kissing, but they want to see like hot girls kissing. Now this is outside of like the Christian realm. I'm a Christian, but this, so obviously anybody who's a Christian, that sort of thing goes against that. But in the secular world, this is a male fantasy type thing. So because of that, they have to make Aloy uglier, because you're already gonna have two girls kissing and they don't want to appeal to the men.
This clip isn't complete because I want to talk about the last part separately. It is true that lesbians are a minuscule percentage of people playing this, but it ultimately is a pander. I do find it funny though, because it is a male fantasy and guys will be into it if the women are attractive, and I think they would be here. I think Aloy still looks fine. Not as attractive as she was originally, but still looks decent. Now here's the rest of that clip.
So they had to make Aloy uglier, and they had to make this girl look like a dude, pretty much. Let's be real. This like, cut off all the hair and just only look from here up. That looks like a man's face.
I don't know how anyone can say Seyka looks like a dude. I think Seyka is pretty good looking, personally. She looks pretty much the same as the actress, and she looks very feminine, so I don't know how you could think this. The armor is bulky, but outside of that, there's nothing else that should make you think that. I'm glad that ended up being the last clip from that video, because it led to a response from the Seyka actress, Kylie Liya Page. Kylie posted a video on TikTok reacting to Melonie Mac saying Seyka looks like a dude. I originally saw this after Melonie retweeted a post on Twitter that had the video, but that post with the video was deleted. And it sucks because Kylie actually replied to that post. I would have used that reply, but now I can't see it anymore. When I get to that point, I'll paraphrase from memory to the best of my ability. She also did delete the TikTok, so I do think at least she thought it was a bad look from that deleted reply. It seems like she felt at least a little bad. She also posted this on Twitter, which seems like it may have been out of spite. Melonie actually made another video responding to this as well, so I'll use a video from that since it's the only copy I can find. And Melonie does make a few points that I want to go through quickly as well. So on Kylie's TikTok post, she wrote,
So she says, I was adopted as a baby and I've learned to love my unique face, and I'm not going to just sit back and let this lost soul insult me. Seyka is a powerful warrior and a great influence. I've received beautiful messages from the Asian community about how much it means to see this character come to life. Stay strong, fam.
Melonie also had this to say about that caption.
Like, I'm just, going after her because the character model, because she's Asian, despite the fact that the majority of the video, and for before I even, the little brief moment I talked about her, I was talking about Aloy and how they messed up her look. But you want to conveniently leave that out to try to make me look like a racist. That is why this is bad faith. That is why I can't give the benefit of the doubt. Because I was going to do that. I was going to say, well, maybe she thought I was talking about her personally. She don't understand how character design works, so on and so forth. But that doesn't appear to be the case here. So
I agree with Melonie that this is clipped completely out of context. And that context being her talking about how the entertainment industry likes to tone down female characters, and as a result, makes her look worse. It's also a TikTok, and she's specifically reacting to the part where Melonie talks about her character. So it's a little hard to include that context on TikTok, which is one reason I hate it. But she may have left it out on purpose, or she just may not understand it. Probably went in one ear and out the other. As far as the racial element goes, I think Kylie was just saying that some Asian girls are inspired by her character regardless of whether that's true or not. I'm not sure if that was an indirect way to make what Melonie said seem racial, but putting that in there definitely muddies the waters a bit, and it wasn't necessary. Now moving on to the TikTok itself, I'll play it in its entirety. Then I'll play certain clips and Melonie's responses to those and talk about them. The cuts in the full vid are mine, since Melonie talks in between. The whole thing is there though. Here we go.
And they had to make this girl look like a dude, pretty much. Let's be real. This like, cut off all the hair and just only look from here up.
Okay, first of all, you do not look more feminine than I do. And second of all, if you lived in a post-apocalyptic world in the future, you might put your hair up in a ponytail because it gets really freaking hot battling all these machines. And I'm definitely not one to post videos online judging how video game characters look. But if I were to say something, I would definitely say that it looks like you just jumped off of some hairy guy's Harley Davidson in Minnesota. So I think you have some soul searching to do.
So there's the full TikTok, and it's safe to say I'm not quite impressed. She took it way too personally, and this is where that deleted post would come in, but I don't have it. From my memory, she said something like, maybe I shouldn't have made this video, or maybe I shouldn't have been that hard on her, something like that. But the character's face is my face, and I took that personally. Regardless if this is right or not, that was basically what she was saying, and I completely understand this. Again, I don't think the character model looks much different than her, if at all. If Kylie wanted to seem like the better person, she shouldn't have gone after Melonie's looks. It just invalidates the point she was trying to make when she says,
and I'm definitely not one to post videos online judging how video game characters look.
I think she realized this, and that's why she deleted it, because it's just a bad look. I understand her frustrations, but she should have thought this out more. Melonie either responded to this or another reply she deleted that I don't know about. I think this is the same reply though. She said, I have no issue with you. Didn't when I made this video and don't now. You had no reason to take it personally when it wasn't about you in the first place. The character model isn't as cute as you. That shouldn't have offended you. And the dig at small town folk was pretty awful. Melonie also had some rebuttals and I wanted to go over a few here. Here's the first one.
Second of all, if you lived in a post-apocalyptic world in the future, you might put your hair up in a ponytail because it gets really freaking hot battling all these machines.
Notice in the video I said take the ponytail off and she would look like a dude. So it had nothing to do with the ponytail.
She is right. I actually misconstrued this as well originally, so I'll give Kylie the benefit of the doubt on that. Melonie had said, quote, cut off all the hair and only look from here up, meaning her face.
And I'm definitely not one to post videos online judging how video game characters look.
Good for you. I have been playing video games all my life and I like talking about them, so I'll continue to do so.
Melonie isn't just constantly judging how characters look. She points out when she thinks companies are toning down female characters' looks purposefully so they don't look as good. I disagree with her on this one, but she has every right to do so, and she should point these things out. She even says this.
I know if I were skinned and put in a game, I would look like my brother, but hit with an ugly stick and with a wig. Okay, I know it wouldn't be cute because they don't do that that anymore. People like myself who like to talk about pop culture and entertainment culture and video games and what's going on. We're going to point that stuff out, and we're going to point out the problems with it, just like anybody could about me. If I'm put in a game and they make me look ugly, go off. Say something. I don't care. Like, good for you. I'll probably agree with you.
Like I said earlier, it's demeaning to women to say it's unrealistic for women to look really attractive and make female characters look worse, especially when it's modeled by a real person or is a real person who actually looks really attractive. You're also telling women that it's bad to look that good, and it's insensitive, and she should try to look worse to make other women feel better and to avert the male gaze. It's insane and absolutely should be called out.
But if I were to say something, I would definitely say that it looks like you just jumped off of some hairy guy's Harley Davidson in Minnesota. So I think you...
That sounds amazing. Thank you. Also, don't you think that's a little bit elitist and classist of you to imply that you live in Los Angeles and the peasants are off in Minnesota? Okay. Wow, that's cute.
I don't know why Kylie thought this was an insult. Many women would love that, like Melonie said. Some women love biker dudes and big hairy dudes. Also, why Minnesota? Don't know why you use that state out of all the places you could have used, but okay, I guess. Melonie is right though, it does seem like she has that elitist attitude that she's living the life in LA and people in Minnesota and big hairy biker dudes are below her. Seems like Kylie is just out of touch in that LA bubble and doesn't realize what people outside that bubble like or think.
Okay, so I was going to give her the benefit of the doubt and say maybe she doesn't understand the process of character design. Maybe she doesn't realize that I was talking about the devs and the character design, not her. Just like with Aloy, which everybody knows she's pretty. Everybody can see she's a really cute girl. This had nothing to do with her and everything to do with the character model and how the devs designed her.
I disagree. Like I said, I think the character model looks pretty much the same as Kylie. But again, I do agree that Kylie doesn't realize Melonie was coming at it from that angle and not intending to go after her looks. Although I do understand why she would think that, but that's because I think the character model looks just like her. And so does she. So if you come at it from that perspective, you probably would think that those comments would reflect on you too. If Kylie thought the character didn't look much like her, I don't think she would have made this video. So I think this TikTok is stemming from a big misunderstanding. Overall, Melonie did say some things I agree with when it comes to Horizon and Aloy. But when it comes to this situation, I couldn't disagree more. And as far as Kylie goes, while I ultimately end up agreeing with her about how Seyka looks, she really overreacted to Melonie's opinion, and I'm glad she decided to leave that video. To reiterate, I thought Seyka's character was written pretty well. Her and Aloy's relationship was developed organically, and the last scene didn't really feel out of place. I really liked this expansion, and it surprised me how much time they put in to develop their relationship to make it feel organic, even if it is pandering in a big virtue signal. Ultimately, I'm okay with the decision to make Aloy gay, and I'm cautiously optimistic about the third game. Hopefully they can close it out well. Again, don't send any hate to either woman, I have nothing against them. In fact, I'm a fan of Melonie and enjoy Kylie's portrayal of Seyka. But let me know what you think about this whole drama and who you side with, if you do side with anyone. And also what you think about the expansion. Subscribe to this channel if you want to see more, leave a like on the video if you liked it, and share the video if you want to get out there. Thanks for watching, I'll see you next time. Bye bye.